The philosophy of reality being a projection of your subconscious mind has been on my mind all year, but ever since I've learned it, the first half of me learning this new philosophy, well, not really new, but just philosophy, I was like, yeah, it is. This makes sense. This is great. But when I started experiencing unfavorable situations and situations that left me perplexed and just left me reflecting on it not in a good way, it really forced me to ask myself the questions: how, like, why is this happening? And, like, is this a reflection of me? The people enter my life are not a direct reflection of me, obviously. Like, I have no control over them. But to some degree, my subconscious is pulling in experiences into my force field, into my peripheral for a reason. If there's no coincidences and only synchronicities, then to some degree, this situation has something to do with me. There's some truth within everything I encounter. There's something reflecting me back to me within these situations. So when I started encountering the unfavorable situations that left me emotionally dysregulated, to say the least, it really, like I said, pushed me to reflect. And I found that I have habits, and there's still habits yet to be discovered that are not the healthiest. And, like, this is not mind-blowing information. Everybody knows this. But the way that I went about treating myself, the way I think what is normal, it is a bit destructive. And this is not to put myself down at all, but to some degree, it is destructive. Is it my fault? No, not necessarily. But I still do them. I still operate within these habits. I still talk to myself a certain way under distress. All these people that I encountered that treated me weird is a reflection of my inner dialogue when I am in intense situations. Now, through the work of undoing these habits that I thought were normal, so I was like, I have no reference point other than this, so therefore I don't think it's bad. Fuck, I forgot that I had to pause the video and I forgot what I was saying. I don't remember what I was saying before I had to pause it. Something threw me off of my train of thought. But I say all this to say, like, the people that entered my life that may have not treated me the way I wanted to be treated, or just being in places and the energy is completely off, it forced me to take some responsibility, or it forced me to change my perspective on it. It forced me to think about why I am seeing what I'm seeing and understand the type of responsibility that one has to take in order to change what's going on, change the energy. Like, I was in the store earlier and the vibes were just off. But then I had to ask myself, is the vibes I'm receiving, am I receiving that, or am I putting that out? Like, I have to ask myself these things. And even when talking to other people, when something is just off, I'm automatically like, I don't like this. Mm-mm. And I had to sit back and think, I don't like when people do that to me. Because I can tell when I'm talking to somebody and they just don't want to be there and they're just like, about me. So I shouldn't do it to other people. And it all goes back to a very basic principle, but just seeing these basic principles Treat yourself how you want to be treated. Treat others how you would want to be treated. Seeing them on a very, very, very small scale, the smallest scale, at the age I am, is interesting. Because these past few months have really shown me to me. And here I am thinking, like, I don't want to say I thought nothing was wrong with me, but to some degree, I'm like, it's them, it's not me. Or like, this all can't be me. Like, there's situations that I've come across where they're just being hella weird off the rip, or like they were moving with malicious intent, or not even malicious, but just manipulative. But then after weeks of cruciating reflection, I realized in some degree I too can be manipulated. Even though I'm not out here doing the devil's work, I am still receiving what is going on in my subconscious mind from this reality. And so it really, one, it humbled the fuck out of me, but two, it really got me thinking about the type of responsibility one has to take for themselves. And like, it's no shame because, like I said, I'm 23 years old. This type of work, this type of perspective usually comes for people in their 30s and 40s. People start adopting this frame of thinking in their 40s. Or from what I've seen from the type of people I've talked to. So it's not like, duh, Lamaya, you should have been knew that. Like, I'm relatively young. And people always tell me you have an old soul. You know, shout out to trauma. You know, that had a part to play in making this old soul. But I think it's because I have a perspective and a presence, one. I have a perspective that, most people get to later in life. And not even that much later, but just later than 23. 23, you worried about other things. Those other things for me, I was worried in my teenage years. Should I have been? Probably not. But it led me here. That is not to brag at all. I should have been innocent. However, yeah, I just wanted to share that because I'm like, damn, that's a lot of responsibility. That's a lot of responsibility that one has to take for themselves in order to really make some change in the type of situations that they find themselves in, the type of no, train of thought, don't leave. I wasn't done. I hate when that happens. It's a lot of responsibility to keep with each, and I know, be patient with me, with each internal knot that you undo, you have to take on a little more responsibility. That's another layer of responsibility you have to take. Now you're aware of that thing you used to do that's a bit destructive. You have to work to not do that no more and to get on the new program that you set for yourself. It's like you're aware of that habit. You cannot go back to it because you're only setting yourself up for failure. Luckily, I only have 23 years of habits that I have to do, and I started doing this work at 18. So I'm like undoing habits from like 5, 6. And just like my whole way of life, teenage years, and my teenage years wasn't that far back, so it's like, it's not, I don't want to say it's not that hard because it's fucking hard, but rather than like people in their 40s, they got 40 years of shit they gotta undo. They're closer to 50 years of living than teenage years. And so it just, I feel for them, because it's just like, I can only imagine how many knots you have accumulated that you're trying to undo. But going back to the responsibility part, I was hell-bent on like making my reality, my desired reality, my life mission. And I essentially wanted it to be a utopia, because like I hated my life so much. Now I'm at a point where it's like, I'm not gonna say that it doesn't exist, but I don't think that's how nature works. But I can get better at managing my lows. And going back to responsibility, that's a lot of fucking responsibility. It's more responsibility than I thought going into this. Because some of my norms I didn't know was destructive. So now I'm seeing myself in these situations that I'm finding myself in, and I'm like, oh, ouch, that stings. Like, that's not. Or thinking of like how it was talked to growing up, or like how people went about certain things. So to get more specific instead of being abstract, I just recently kind of seen how manipulative my language can be, and just how I can manipulate when I'm uncomfortable. And most of this was unconscious, because just dealing with, I wasn't taught to deal with uncomfortable feelings. If anything, my family said we don't do uncomfortable feelings. And if we do uncomfortable feelings, it's through the lens of anger. And so, as naturally, I was shut down a lot. Like, I had uncomfortable feelings. I didn't know this going into, like, I didn't know this about my family growing up. Obviously, I just know whenever emotions came up, because emotions are the biggest uncomfortable thing for my family. When emotions came up, shit got shut down. So as I grew up and got into situations that called for uncomfortable emotions, situations that pushed me to grow, situations that challenged me, I would shut that shit down. I would be like, no. Or I would just find a way how to get out of having to deal with that. I now can see how that can be manipulated, but growing up, that's all I knew. And so a situation I had recently really mirrored me in a way that I was like, oh, wow. And then I started looking at my family members through this lens that I kind of have now. And I'm starting to see that shutting down and becoming defensive and becoming just mean or hurtful when uncomfortable feelings come up. And I'm like, that's where I learned it from. This is the source. And like, this is not mind-blowing information. But yes, it is mind-blowing when you are blind to yourself and you don't know what you don't know. It's not mind-blowing that manipulation isn't a good, but it is mind-blowing when you realize yourself and you be like, this is why I do that. And then the responsibility part come in. It's like, we can't keep doing this. I know this is all you know, but now you are challenged to figure out another way of going about what you didn't used to know. And, every time after that, every situation you find yourself that's challenged you to be different, sometimes you're going to fall back into the old habit. That's very normal. And then another challenge is raised simultaneously to not treat yourself how your family treated you when you fucked up. So it's like new habit, same situation, that's a new responsibility. Because you want to go back to the old one, but no, we can't keep going on that timeline, can't keep going on that path. And then when you give in to what you always known, it's very human, you have to establish your other new habit of how you navigate yourself. That's what I'm talking about, responsibility. It's just, that shit is like, what the fuck? And so, when you do treat yourself kind of poorly, yeah, you do find yourself. Or when you just think poorly, or when you just focus on things that you don't like, yes, you are going to find yourself in places with off vibes. You are going to find yourself with people who make you go, what the fuck? You are going to find yourself in situations that make you angry, that make you irritated. And you are going to find yourself around people who just don't align with you. And that to me is just like, wow, like I really have to change everything about me to get up out this energy. I was just telling somebody the other day, I had to wipe my identity clean. Because like I said at the beginning of this video, what I thought I wanted is not necessarily what I want, because it's not that it's not real, but it's not real. Like a utopia is not, because nature in itself is cyclical and it's on a rhythm. So it's like you cannot escape the ups and downs. How you go about the low parts of life, that can be changed, your perspective on it. And that's what I want now. I wanted to eliminate the lows, period. I didn't want them. And that's what I'm saying. That's not necessarily realistic. And I hate that fucking word. I hate when people tell me what I want is not realistic. However, that is not realistic though. And it's not even trying to say I'm trying to put limitations on myself, but literally only experiencing ups in life is not realistic. Now, translating that from the person I was when I set that goal, being who I was, I could understand what I meant, because I was very, like, I didn't want to be here. So I didn't want to keep experiencing that type of intensity of not wanting to be here. I didn't want to be where I was living. I didn't want to be in the energy I was in. And I'm not saying that was my fault. I'm not saying what happened to me was my fault and why I felt that way and what drove me to even feel that way. I thought if I only experienced good, I wouldn't experience suicidal thoughts and like my family being fucked up because they're not right with themselves. And yeah. So now my goal is shifted, obviously, it's matured. And alongside, I set some more goals. But yeah, I'm just thinking about responsibility, I'm trying to put words together to accurately describe what it is I feel without sounding too like I'm discovering something, some simple shit. Because it's deeper than just treat people how you want to be treated. Like, no, everything that goes on in your subconscious is projected out and reflected back to you. Everything, 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 everything. Even down to how your mama talked to you when she got pissed off. That's how you talk to yourself when you get pissed off. And thus, situations are gonna come to you that's gonna piss you off to keep going with that fucking script. Or people are gonna come into your life, and when you piss them off, they gonna fucking respond how your mama responded when she got pissed off. It's just a fucking repetitive pattern. And until you stop responding to yourself how you respond to yourself when you piss yourself off, people are going to keep coming into your life. Situations are going to keep coming to your life, triggering that same energy, that same feeling. It all starts with you and it ends with you. And this is like, I don't want to say I'm not ready to take on that type of responsibility, but this is something that I have to adjust my nervous system to. I think that's another thing. My nervous system is like, it doesn't feel ready, but I know that I'm ready, but my nervous system hasn't calibrated to the new energy of like, yeah, this is you. This is all you. I thought by being in a constant state of bliss, it would fix all my problems, but I tried that and I realized I still have problems. I thought I was like, and this was on like taking mushrooms like crazy. I thought it was like, I just need to stop feeling sad. Whereas I finally have time to myself where intend as a chronic relationship-er, I finally said no more and had time to myself, and I stopped taking crazy drugs. Well, the shrooms are not crazy, but I took a crazy amount frequently. I stopped taking drugs how I was taking them, and I started to face what I was scared of. It's not about not being sad. It's about stop shaming myself for being sad. Stop shaming myself for repeating. Stop shaming myself for how I make sense of the world and how I responded to my environment, and stop shaming myself for what I cannot control. That is what was installed to me before I was even like, before I could defend myself and say I don't want that. I can't be a victim, because to some degree I co-created the situations I found myself in. And I have to, like, more than what I was already doing, I have to take responsibility. And that's crazy to me, because shit that I thought was unrelated is very much related. I keep finding myself with the same energy, the same archetype person for a reason, girl. I keep finding myself uncomfortable with everybody for a reason, girl. I keep finding myself a bit lonely for a reason. And it's not to shame myself. You know, I do prefer being alone after being around people. So it's not like and I'm the type to cut people off anyway. Like, avoidance, stand up. It's not like everybody left me and I'm so confused on why. Like, I know that to some degree social interactions do make me a bit uncomfortable because I don't be liking what I'm seeing, and I think they're supposed to go a certain way, and when they don't, I'm just be like, what is happening? You're not going along with the script. And I think that has been a lesson since I was a child, is to let go of the script that I think of how shit is supposed to go. Now, if somebody is acting like out of, like, just the opposite side, just bad mortality, then okay, like, I don't think you're supposed to be doing that. But, like, trying to, and this is all internal, I'm not out loud saying this is how you're supposed to be. Trying to police people to how to be in the presence of me, it's not healthy. And I realized I was doing that because I'm like, and especially in romantic relationships, I'm like, you're supposed to be this way. Like, why aren't you acting like this? And a lot of it has to do with indoctrination. Like I said, a lot of it is not my fault. And then also policing myself on how I think I'm supposed to be due to what people telling me I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be hella emotional, even though I am the most emotional. I've been showing emotional characteristics since birth. Like, this is not stopping. So when I get all emotional, I get on myself and I feel so fucking uncomfortable because I'm like, this is not how I'm supposed to be. This is not how I'm supposed to be. This is ugly. This is not it. Stop policing myself. And so I'm sure you can see many scenarios on how this energy can play itself on them. This all goes back to just responsibility. Like, that's the word of the day. It's responsibility. You are responsible for creating your reality. And it all starts with how you treat yourself. How you treat yourself is how the world's gonna treat you. And I'm like, fuck. Because there's things I didn't know was, like, destructive until somebody's, like, telling me, no, like, this is destructive. And I'm like, you know what? And also, my subconscious probably didn't reveal this information to me because I wasn't ready. Had it revealed it to me back then, I probably would have really killed myself. Because I would have felt so ashamed and guilty, and I was already on the edge. I already had the want to do it. I already had the want. The action is what scared me. Pain scared the shit out of me. The shame and guilt I probably would have felt had my subconscious revealed to me back then. That would have override my fear of pain, I feel. And so I'm grateful. My subconscious obviously knows what it's doing because I'm processing this real time, and I don't have that. I have more compassion for myself, and so I'm able to, it feels safe enough to reveal itself to me and say, hey girl, this thing you do, probably not the best thing to do, but here's another way to do it if you're open to it. And so, yeah, that's that. Responsibility.